700,000 people left California in the last 2 years. There is a dark side to California where homeowners are getting completely wiped out and saying goodbye to their life savings. You can buy this 2-bedroom gem for $975 or $6,112 a month. And many of you have written me and told me your horror stories on how really bad California has gotten. The homelessness, the taxes, the high housing costs, the utility bills, the traffic, the crime, the gangs, and the politics, and it's getting worse. So in this video, I'm diving even deeper and sharing your stories to what's really happening in California. And as you know with my other videos, I want you to avoid the pitfalls that are costly. This is why I'm making these videos. So give me a thumbs up if you're good with that. So why can't California stop people from leaving? Don't be shocked, this place is super expensive to live in. It actually costs 41% higher than the national average. A bottle of water, $7.59. A sandwich, $19. Highest fuel cost in the nation. High electric costs that are actually 27% above, and housing that's 102% above the national average. Now, many people cannot afford a decent home. Just to put this into perspective, you can buy this house on the East Coast for $309,000. And some of you have told me that you may own a small business and now consider California as uninvestable because all the high costs and regulations. But there's really a bigger issue. Because when you see companies pulling out, that leads to killing jobs. So if people can no longer afford to live in a place, they end up walking and leaving. But the big question is the state going to collapse? Now, I can tell you, it may not be what you want to hear, but it's the truth. It's happening. And why do I know this? Because every single day I'm noticing a disturbing trend, and the numbers are super hard to ignore. And at first it was just a handful of people. You know, people walking into our office and we had phone calls in our office, and now they're actually moving with their feet. But the crazy thing is, my real estate office is not in California. It's 3,000 miles away on the other side of the country in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, many people have told me they're relocating out of California, and they've told me that there are 10 California money traps. So here they are in descending order. Number 10, extreme California taxes. California is ranked the second highest taxing state according to the Tax Institute. And it's not just the income tax, it's the local sales tax, county sales tax, property taxes, and corporate tax. And all these combined California taxes are sky high. Now, some Californians have said they found an economical way to live, and they're claiming their domicile as someplace else for 6 months of the year so that they can avoid the California income taxes. And some income tax savings, in turn, end up paying for their place at the beach. While others, they've totally retired and left the California rat race. But the California money trap, on the other hand, is for people who are staying, who are stuck with the future of fewer economic opportunities, less growth in the future, less future salaries, less wage growth. And this slower growth hurts the tax collection, which ultimately hurts public infrastructure like repairs of freeways and bridges and all sorts of public services that involve taxes. Now, California relies heavily on the growth and prosperity of the high-tech industries, so they rely on these high wages and high revenue. But as 700,000 people leave California to other areas of the country, it's the end of the road for growth. And you're seeing it already. Lower standard of living, more homelessness, and some say it's only getting worse, which leads me to number 9, the California home prices and housing costs. Now, when you have a price per square foot that's $1,000 or $1,500 per square foot, that's 8 or 9 times above the national average. And you can find even a basic 1,200 square foot home in California running $1 million plus. It's happening. We had a client who moved out of California and they bought a brand new construction home on the East Coast for $200 a square foot. So that's a huge difference in affordability. Now, many of you have written me and said California is no longer a paradise. It's absolutely living hell. So what are your thoughts? Go ahead, put it in the comments. Number 8, high utility costs. Now, everyone knows electric and fuel costs in California are higher than the rest of the nation, but it's the everyday person who's struggling to live in California. Electricity is 27 to 35 cents per kilowatt hour, and it's not reliable. Because if you live in the foothills or in a high wind area and the power lines get snapped, you could end up with a raging forest fire like the Sierra Nevada or northern parts of the state, or even in Los Angeles Hills. Fuel. The highest gasoline prices in the United States. And this is partly because the highest taxes for gasoline in the United States. And there's also different rules for blended fuel and clean air initiatives. Number 7, Californians are looking for lower cost of living. It actually costs 39% higher than the national average to live in California. And as I said, housing is 102% higher than the national average, and utilities are 22% higher. Food and groceries are around 10% higher, and clothing is about 10% higher than the rest of the nation, which leads me to number 6. The high cost of living has produced another California trap, with almost 1/3 of the nation's homeless population residing in California. Now, California is also ranked number 1 in the nation for number of welfare recipients. Med-Cal state services used to be 7% of the budget. It's now up to around 30% of the budget. School test scores, California is now ranked somewhere around 45 out of 50 states, and that number used to be in the top 10. California has changed a lot. Number 5, crime. San Francisco has the highest per capita property crime rate in the United States. Los Angeles is now one of the most violent cities, statistically. So it makes you wonder how this can even happen in the United States, right? Oh, by the way, if you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'm making these videos for you. Number 4, roads and infrastructure. Now, the aging 1970s infrastructure, which was built to support 16 million or 21 million people, didn't keep up with population increases in the 80s and 90s. For example, the 99 freeway is now one of the most lethal highways in the nation, and many roads and bridges in California are in rough shape and crumbling. But on the other hand, some people say living in California is worth every single penny and they couldn't see themselves living anywhere else. But some say they're getting hit with the Sunshine Golden State tax. It's the price to pay for good weather. But that's number 3, fires, earthquakes, and floods, and all kinds of natural disasters. Now, talk about extreme conditions. Droughts, dry vegetation, expansive home building in high-risk, high wildfire areas only contributes to the air pollution in an overpopulated state. But it's destroyed 40,000 homes in the last 5 years. And you know what that is? Money. California is also a flood-prone state. It's not just Florida. You know, every county in the state has declared a flood zone disaster multiple times. So how about earthquakes? It can occur any time of the year. Each year, California, generally gets about 2 or 3 earthquakes that are large enough and significant enough to damage buildings and homes. Which leads us to number 2, the insurance. California has that reputation of earthquake capital of the U.S., yet only 10% of California residents have earthquake insurance. And why is that? Because as a California resident, your annual premiums are around $1,800 for each $500,000 worth of coverage. And that's on top of your regular homeowners insurance premiums. Flood insurance. Less than 2% of California homes have flood insurance, yet many storm victims are totally shocked and financially wiped out when their insurance won't cover that flooding. And sky-high homeowners insurance, this year it increased another 10%. Experts are blaming this increase on the costly wildfires, the floods, inflation, rising building costs, and of course, higher labor costs. But number 1, California has lost its California vibe. Now, some of you have written me and you told me you're fed up with California, the lack of security, schooling, infrastructure, freedom, price of gas, price of electricity, the taxes, and of course, housing costs, and you're looking for a better option. California has changed a lot. So if you found this information helpful, go ahead and consider subscribing because there's over 1,100 helpful videos here on this channel. If you want to discover the alternative areas, pick up the phone, give my office a call. If you have questions, we have answers. This is what we do every single day, and we're here to help you. Talk soon.